All right, Jeffrey Thompson, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. Taylor, what's going on, man?
What up?
We're excited to have you.
Heck yeah.
You work with 1012 Sports, and we're going to get into that here in a second after your testimony and all. But first, on our show, we usually do icebreakers, kind of just to shake the jitters off. So, Taylor, if you want to ask him your
Oh
first
yeah.
question.
Yeah, two questions to tear, get the mind loosened up a little bit. My first question is going to be, since you're 10 to 12 sports, if you could have dinner with any current athlete right now, who would it be?
Ooh.
Current.
Any current athlete right now. So it would, you know what? It would have to be Frank Gore.
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm a
Beast.
lifelong 49ers fan, and I want to ask him like why he just got traded to the Jets. I thought he was coming back home to end his career with us. But yeah, man, it just seems like a guy full of wisdom, just a very humble guy, and he like beats it every year, year after year after year. And I just want to know, kind of like, what are you eating? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing that kind of just keeps you in the game? And the other thing is just, I really look up to humble people,
Hmm.
and so just to ask him and be around him and learn from him and just kind of see, it seems like humble people just have just these interesting schedules. It seems like, and just I just want to observe like, what do you do all day?
Right.
Right.
So yeah, it'd be Frank Gore.
Okay.
Okay, that's
I
a
like
good one.
that. I like
Frank
that.
Gore's he's a monster. He always has been. He's just solid. He's
Just
a
an
solid running
animal.
back. So,
Yeah.
all right. So my question would be for you, Jeffrey. What is your favorite restaurant and why? Like, what do you get there that makes it your
So,
favorite?
where would you go with Frank Gore
Yeah.
for dinner?
Yeah.
Man, where would I go with Frank Gore for dinner? So I actually don't get out a lot to eat. But if I had to take him somewhere, man, it would probably be this place called Island Cuisine
Okay.
in Owens Mills area. So
Yep.
it is a Caribbean spot, and so I actually heard about it because a lot of the Ravens folks, love to visit there, and went there, and just yeah, it just I love the food, and it was a nice vibe and stuff that I didn't
I love
normally
it.
try, so
Okay.
it'd be that
And you said it's called Island Cuisine.
Island Cuisine,
Okay.
and cuisine is spelled differently than normal. I think it's Quizz zine, something like that. I don't know, but you
Hmm.
don't spell it like you normally spell it.
Norman.
That's all I can remember.
All right. We'll
But
look it
yeah,
up because here
Yeah.
we're
Yeah,
in
we're local too.
Hampstead, so we're north of Reisterstown, like 5 to 10 minutes.
okay,
So Owings Mills is only about 10 minute drive or so from us. So
Yeah.
there you
that's
go.
cool when you say something's local to us as well. We can go check it out.
Yeah, which is why
There
we
you
were
go.
like side note, which is why we were fired up to have a conversation with you here tonight. Like we love talking to local people and we love
Yeah.
being able to like extend our community to people that we can then do in person things and it like it I don't know, it fires us up. So we're pumped to have you on. So with that,
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, if you could, to open us up, could you tell us and our listeners a little bit about yourself, like your bring up and your testimony, and your relationship with God, whatever you'd like to talk about. Just it's all you.
Yeah, man. So I kind of the temperament that I have now, I feel like was just with it's been with me my whole life. And I was talking to somebody the other day. It's interesting to see how the Lord used even my relationships and my temperament before Christ, to
Hmm.
really set me up to be able to have those relationships being in Christ. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was a pretty easygoing guy. Been like that my whole life. Both of my parents, grew up with both of my parents. Raised me in the church, and from a very young age, they really instilled in me, education was a big thing, and just and following Jesus.
Hmm.
Nice.
Our culture was very much, I would say, it's very much like this in rural and country areas. From my perspective, it was very much a cultural thing to be in the church.
Yep.
And so myself and all my buddies at school, all of us went to church. It was very much a cultural thing. Everyone's, my age, everyone's grandma was in the church, and so you
Yeah.
had to sit in church. That was your background. And so we all kind of went up and did a walk to the altar, give our lives to Jesus moment, and none of us lived it. You know what I mean? None of us lived. We would say now that God didn't have a hold of our lives, and Jesus was not Lord of our life of our life, and so kind of grew up with that. The crew that I ran with, we were big into sports, so we were the typical jocks, excelled in athletics, football, basketball, and so that kind of was my identity, just going through middle school, high school, and then leading up to college where I got a chance to play at Delaware, and so. You get to college, and it's interesting. It happens in so many different instances where high school you're the man. Everyone in the county knows you. Everybody in the region, people in the state know you, and then you go to college and you're that small fish in a big pond, and it's a very humbling thing. And that was something that the Lord really used to get my attention and to really get me before Him. And so, sophomore year, the Lord got a hold of my life, and and I haven't looked back since. 2 years after that, I got exposed to just this aspect of urban ministry and really doing ministry in the city. After doing spending a summer in North Philadelphia, just looking at God's heart for the poor, God's heart for the marginalized, and just different issues of injustice and things like that. And so that very summer, I remember the summer of '06, the Lord, I'm a country boy at heart. And the Lord said, you know what? I know you love fishing. I know you love, just raking the leaves and burning them and, letting kids jump in them and hills and, backwoods and stuff. But it's like, you know what? I've called you to just urban living and to be in the city. And so, ever since then, it's been a joy living out this calling, but it's been tough, living it out, So currently in that stage where I just experiencing the grace of God in such a tremendous way, but also fighting, just the good fight of faith in the city, in all of what comes with that, in terms of a lot of people battling a lot of different unfortunate scenarios that they're in. And so that is
okay.
That's a little bit about me.
I love it.
Wow. So what led you what did you do before 10-12 sports? Or have you done that your entire, working career after college, or what?
Yeah. So I did not so I graduated after college. I went to school in Delaware, University of Delaware, and the Lord really led me to a ministry right in the local city. It's called Urban Promise. And so ended up working there for a couple of years, got the opportunity to start a high school there, with private Christian high school at Urban Promise. And then, the Lord called me to Baltimore. And so between the Lord and my wife, they're two most powerful voices, and so, ended up in Baltimore. My wife's from Ellicott City, right outside of Baltimore. And I got into fitness when I first got here, and was heavy into fitness, and on the side doing a lot of like community development stuff with youth, right in West Baltimore. And so out of that, and listening to my community, 10-12 was really birthed, and here we are.
I love it. So, 10-12 sports, if I'm correct here, if I'm looking at like your website and research and stuff, comes from 2 Samuel 10:12. Is that correct?
It does, yeah.
Awesome. Do you want to give a little insight as far as to why you picked that as the name for that, and what that means to you?
Yeah. So I just was fascinated with the story, and just the story is a story of David, and he was friends with he was friends with the king. The king died. The king's sons, pretty much did David wrong. After his servants convinced him that David was coming not just to pay his respects, but to scout out the land. So, long story short, they attacked Israel at this time. And some of David's mighty men, they were surrounded on every side, and and Abishai and Joab had this conversation with one another, basically saying, you know what, like, I'm going to be right here. Let's stand back to back. I'm going to attack them. You attack them. And pretty much, though we're outnumbered, let's be strong and let us fight bravely for our people in the cities of our God. And the Lord will do what is good in his sight, you know? And so very pivotal verse, when their backs were against the wall. The Lord obviously brought them through that, but I just think that whole conversation was real dope. It's just really cool to just see that. Their whole mindset was, you know what, like, people are counting on us to play the God-given role that we are playing right now. And so we're going to play that role, and we lead the results up to God. And so that's my charge for our teenagers is, you know what, like, don't look at trying to be Superman, you know what I mean? But there's a role that only you can play, and our city is counting on you to play that, and the Lord is counting on you to play that. And only you can play that. And so at the end of the day, we play that role, and we leave the results up to God. And so, I mean, that's essentially, that's our charge for each and every one of our young men. And so we want them to live out the calling that God has for their life. And whatever that looks like, we lead the results up to God. All we can do is be faithful in that. And so that was, I felt like that verse really spoke so clearly to what we want to see from our young men. And I honestly, from everyone who's a part of the ministry. So yeah.
Right. And I can see that being very applicable because when you're dealing with the youth in the time of their life where they're really forming who they are as a young man and also as a Christ follower, they may feel within the city that odds are against them. They are outnumbered. So you guys being able to have them turn towards Christ and open their hands and say, it's up to you, guide me through this. I think that's a perfect scripture for you guys to really follow. What age group are you guys dealing with? Like all ages, or is it mainly high schoolers? Or
yeah, so we work with teenage males ages 13 to 18, right in West Baltimore. So most of them come right from inner city West Baltimore.
Okay. And what is it? Is it like is your ministry for like after school sports? Is it intertwined with their school sports? Like what do you guys do for it?
Yeah, so it's kind of offset all of its own, and the beauty of that is we can preach Christ crucified, unashamed, and can't nobody tell us anything, Right. So we just do this in the neighborhood, and so. The crazy thing is it just it's caught on like wildfire. And this year alone, so we'll serve about 250 teenagers that are from the community. And so some of them, we're getting more and more teenagers that play actual high school ball, but a lot of our teenagers are just teenagers from the neighborhood. And some of the teenagers are ones that they don't have the grades to be able to play for a high school, or B, they, don't have the fortitude to say, a coach yells at them and it's like, all right, I'm done. Like, you're not gonna yell at me. Like so we kind of have a whole myriad of different teenagers, from various places around West Baltimore, various athletic abilities, but they all come together in this beautiful picture of shalom, and this beautiful picture of like we are under Christ. And so yeah,
I love that.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
I love that. So I got a question that's going to put you on the spot a little bit, but I'm sure you got an answer for it. Do you have like a story that sticks out in your mind of like any story of how God worked through 10-12 like in the past couple of years? I mean, it could be like with a kid or like his parents, or just any specific story that you think is just super impactful that you'd like to share.
Yeah, how God worked through 10-12. Man, it's a lot. I mean, I think so. There's this common. We generally get so many young men that in times of frustration just voice kind of the impactful nature of the ministry on their lives. And so we had this one young man, and he was just show up to games high, sometimes high,
Mm.
well, most games high, to be honest. And it was like it was this game, he was just off. He was yelling at the ref, stuff like that, and he already kind of, nobody messes with him. He's the guy to just tell you off, everything like that. But you know what? Like, he after the game, he didn't like some refs calls and everything. And they were really good calls. He just was his team was getting blown out, one of those sort of deals. And he just fussed in, and he's like, you know what? You guys don't understand. This is all we got. 10, 12 is all. This is the only family I got. This is all only thing I have in my life to look forward to. And you guys have good things going on in your life. I don't have any other good things going on in my life. And just yeah, and he's just like, man, we're out in the streets, like I'm the man of my household, and I have to do this, and I can't be child. So just kind of flooded with all of these emotions coming out, just and just saying, you know what, like this community is so impactful for me. And he was disappointed by something, by a call in the game, but it just kind of all came out of just like, you know what, I'm disappointed, and it hurts because this is like what I put all my marbles. Like, this community is my safe haven, and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I learned a lot more from the kids than they do from me.
I'm sure.
For me, I tell people that all the time, but I mean, it's so many stories. We have mothers all the time, that just come up and hug us, and I mean, I think about this story in the scripture where it just talks about, where, oh man, I don't want to botch this, but it's a story of like Jesus healing this boy and giving it back to his mother. And as in a sense, we see that so many times where, like you have a son who just felt like, man, he needed to be in an environment that was conducive to him being the man that God has called him to be. And he's found that. And that has implications for his home life, where he's stepping up and he's, reading his Bible, and he's being responsible at home. And he's actually showing empathy and taking on responsibilities. And we had these mothers, that, sometimes come up and hug us and just like, you know what, this is my first time meeting you, but I don't know where my son would be if he was not a part of 10, 12. And, mothers that are just like, he is, we've seen a very tangible change in his life, or he feels like he finally has a family, you know what I mean? A lot of times you find with the young men, like, because we are in a community where over 85% of our teenagers, of our people in the community, those households are single female headed, the father's not around. And so with different varying needs, you have men that come into their life and it's just like, oh, you're not my father. Like, you're trying to take my father's place. Like, this family, like this household, it doesn't feel like it's mine. I don't feel like this is my family, and our teenagers wrestle with that. And so when something clicks and it's just like, man, I found a loving family now, and I found people that I feel like, man, I can be myself, and I found an outlet where I feel like I can express myself, and it is nurtured and it is encouraged, and it is met with prayer and met with empathy. Then we just hear mothers just say, you know what, thank you. Like he didn't have that space where he could really truly be himself and to really express his feelings, and now he does. And so we see that changing. So we see that with so many of our young men, and they'll describe it as a brotherhood and just a family that they found. They came here for sports, and then they found the family. So yeah, that's the overall kind of testimony. So if we had 10 young men on here, 9 of them would say that exact same thing, to you guys.
Right, and that's what it's about, man. Like,
and that's what it's about,
I'm sure
man. Like,
exactly why
that's
10,
I'm
12
sure
sports
exactly why
exists
10, 12 sports exists is
to grow that brotherhood
to grow that
between the
brotherhood
young men that need it
between the
most,
young men
and
that
to
need
give
it
them that
most,
Christ-centered
and to give them
focus.
that
And it sounds
Christ-centered
like you guys
focus.
are
And it
doing it.
sounds
And
like
like
you
you said,
guys are
9 out of
doing
10
it.
of
And like
them
you said,
would probably
9 out
say
of
the
10 of
exact
them
same
would probably
thing.
say the exact same thing.
So to transition, kind of to
So to
close this up
transition,
here,
kind of to
Jeffrey, I
close
want to
this up
hit
here,
on
Jeffrey, I want to hit on
your advice
your
on
advice
brotherhood. I think
brotherhood.
it's unique in a way because you did play D1 football at University of Delaware. So you said that you accepted Christ, like really accepted him in what your sophomore year. So I want to see like what could you offer advice wise to our listeners about your time through Delaware, your time through 10, 12 sports, and even prior to Delaware, like going through high school. You said you guys were known for being those great football players and basketball players. Like that was probably a tight knit group. Because everyone knows that a team that's unbeatable is a team that's been playing together and really jiving. So what could you offer and the advice could you
give us?
Yeah, on brotherhood, I mean, I think this aspect of being all in and being all in and being all you. And so here's what I mean by that. I got a chance. It's crazy. So I was not a star, nowhere close to a star at Delaware. And so generally you see, okay, who gets attention on the team? It's star player. That star player has influence. That star player has say so. That star player has a popular. I mean, you see it on The Last Dance. If you guys have been watching that, how like Mike was, he could be whatever. He wasn't the nicest dude. He wasn't the most genuine dude, but he could play ball, and so he got a lot of influence because of that. And so even one of the crazy things was guys hitting me up for my college team, guys who were considered stars, even trials to the NFL, and to play in the NFL, that would hit me up about life stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And about, like I'm struggling with this and I'm like, me? Like you wouldn't even pay me the time of day like before. Like you didn't come to any team chapels. Like you wouldn't talk to me for more than 5 minutes. But it was this aspect of like, you know what? I understand like the power struggle of like, oh, I need to fit a certain profile to be liked, to fit into the mold. But it was just like, yo, now that my identity's in Christ, like I can be fully me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
While 98% of you guys feel like, man, I got to chase something and be something that everyone will accept, and to be something that everyone will like and will remember. It's like I'm gonna be me. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be fully in being me. And so I'm gonna ask you those questions that nobody's asking you. Like, how your parents doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, this was a struggle. How you doing with this struggle? And so fully tapping into that, and then like being all in, and then fully being myself, being my genuine self, is something that, like, from even a crowd that wasn't a Christ-centered crowd could respect, to like my brothers at church, where we have a strong bond, and and we know, like, all right, to make this work, you guys we got to be transparent. We got to be fully us, and not who we feel like we like others want us to be. And so those two things that I kind of think of off the top, just top of my head, like just being fully in, fully committed, and then being like fully ourselves, when we come into those spaces that of brotherhood. And I feel like that really leads to those spaces thriving.
I love that. I mean, that's such a good word. That fires me up so much. I mean, honestly, like full disclosure, Jeffrey, I think that if you were like talking to me about like how I need to eat my breakfast, I would feel like I want to run through a wall. Like just like the way, like you, so like that just that you just saying that just in general would have fired me up. But the content, like that was, I know personally, I'm fired up. So hopefully, if you're listening to that, I mean, that's what it's all about. Like that is why Brothers Married exist, is to hear that, to be inspired, to not just say I've heard this now for 50 times and I'm going to actually do it. I'm going to get up off the couch and I'm going to say, you know what, I don't care about what people think about me. I don't care about what these people think about what mold I'm trying to fit. But like, hey, my identity's in Christ. I need brothers by my side. Like, pick up the phone and text those 5 people that you're thinking and say, hey, let's set up a Zoom call on Friday and let's start talking. Like, that's what this is about. I love that.
And the fact that, like you said, Jeffrey, all the guys that wouldn't pay the time of day because they thought they were bigger and badder than you or big football stars and all. But at the end of the day, who did they pick up the phone and call for advice and for life things? Like, that is what matters. We talk about it. We've interviewed NFL players before in here, and our identities have to be in Christ. And you even said that. Like, my identity is in Christ. That's the long haul, not the NFL. Not the glory that comes with that, but the long haul is having that relationship, and that's why they reach back out to you. That's more important than anything. Like, I don't care if they go and become a 5-ring, Super Bowl winner. Like, what really matters is the home turf that you're playing on right now. So, dude, that was seriously, like, Taylor, you weren't lying to me. Like, that was amazing to hear, and thank you for providing that advice to our listeners, and not just them, but to us 3 sitting here. Because even our sound guy Mike over here is just like nodding his head, like, yeah, like, that's some good stuff. You can kind of see his hands coming in. But Jeffrey, man, thanks so much for coming on to the show, giving us your time. I know you got a big family, you said, and what's going on right now is crazy. So everyone's cooped up in the house. So being intentional and just like giving us any bit of time, we're super thankful for.
Yeah, and thank you for what you're doing. Man. I mean, you're impacting the kingdom in big ways, and you're going into spaces that, I mean, just to be frank, some people don't want to go into, and I applaud you for doing that. And honestly, like, you're doing big things for the kingdom. So thank you for what you're doing with Tentel Sports. We're all here for to support that and want to see that grow and do good things. So that's awesome.
I appreciate that encouragement. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Jeffrey. Well, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.